Y'all love some mess. Throw your hands up. You love some mess. Because when I asked y'all what I should talk about in my next video, I gave y'all several options. Yet, and still, y'all chose the option of how I got fired from the church. See, y'all want to see a black saint down. But I'm going to tell you, and because I'm a man of integrity, and I said I was going to do something, I'm going to tell you about how God closed that chapter in my life. Because you know when black folks get fired, we don't say we got fired. We said God got something better for me. So I'm going to tell you about the story about how God had something better for me. And he used being removed from the church. The Bible said he moved in mysterious ways. I'm still trying to understand the extent of his mysteriousity. Welcome back to my second YouTube video. It's been a couple of weeks, y'all, and actually I'm ready to get back into this thing. So let me just jump right in. So I'm playing for this church down in my hometown, or near my hometown in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. This is probably back in 2018. Honestly, I can't remember. See, because when God bring you out, oh, glory to God. Sometimes he take the memory, with the misery. He takes that out, And so anyway, I was playing for this church, and I didn't like the pastor, and the pastor didn't like me. So we had a mutual understanding. You ain't got to like me. I ain't got to like you. I'm here doing what needs to be done. I'm playing for the church, little Baptist church. You know, they sang the same songs every Sunday, so it wasn't no hard job. I mean, if you could play one hymn, you could play them all. And when I tell you they had been singing the same songs for 50 years, there was no newness of life in the whole church. I was the youngest thing in there. The youngest person outside of me was 67. It was given K&W. If you're from Rocky Mount, you know K&W, Greenville, K&W. It was a K&W Ministries is what I'm going to call it. So anyway, I was playing for this church, and for the longest time, they kept trying to get me to sign a contract. I was trying to figure out why they were trying to get me to sign a contract, and they weren't paying me but $125 a week. Y'all want me to sign a contract for $125 a week? Like this is a $125 million contract, government job. Oh, please. So I wouldn't sign the contract, you know. Not that I was against it, but I'm just saying, like, y'all gonna have to pay a lot more money for me to be signing a contract, put my name on the dotted line. And furthermore, no shade against church folks, but y'all ain't always the most honest people. So even if I sign the contract, is you gonna do what you're supposed to do? So that was my hesitation with signing the contract. So anyway, I took that job temporarily because I was getting ready to graduate high school. I was coming up in my senior year. I was getting ready to graduate high school. I want to make a little money, you know. So I took that job, and I was also working at McDonald's. So, you know, McDonald's won't pay much back then. I think they done went up now. I think they do the daily pay now, so you can get your money every day. They didn't have that back when I was doing that. Then they did pay on a weekly basis. But that's not the point that I'm trying to make. So I was working at the church, you know, playing on Sundays or whatever the case may be, playing for the senior choir, playing for the male choir, playing for the gospel choir. They, you know, back in the Baptist church, they had a choir for everything. They had the women's choir, the men's choir, the youth choir, the senior choir, the bereaved choir. Oh, y'all ain't hearing nothing. The singles choir. They had a choir for everything. And best believe they had a choir anniversary for everything. So anyway, I was playing for the church, and I was getting ready to go into my senior year of high school, and I was only supposed to play there for 1 year. But what ended up happening was I chose to go to a school that was about an hour and a half away from the church. So they asked me would I stay on, and you know, I told myself, for the right price, I will negotiate. I will compromise. I can come for the right price. So we had a meeting with the deacons, and all of them dead, so they don't mind me sharing this. The families are still surviving. God bless y'all. But had a meeting with the deacons, and it became very heated because I was asking for $250 a week. I was asking for a raise. And they said, oh, well, this is in a rural area, and, you know, we got poverty, tragedies are commonplace, all kinds of diseases, and people are slipping away. I told them, listen here. It's a church literally on every block. Y'all is not the only church I can play for. I go play down at the St. Monica or St. Mary somewhere with something with Saint in front of it. I might get a little bit more money. So anyway, they ended up giving me $175. They act like that was so much money. $175 a week. So I took it or whatever the case may be. And then they told me, they said they want me to sign the contract. But then they told me when we had the meeting, they said, I looked at the contract. I said, well, some of these things are not right. They said, well, go ahead on and sign it, and we'll come up with a revised contract. I said, you must think I'm a fool. Y'all think because I'm saved, I'm stupid? I'm not saved and stupid. Huh? See, I put away childish things. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I don't spake as a child no more. So anyway, they came back and they gave me the revised contract and I signed it. So what was in the contract was just saying that I had to come to weekly rehearsals. I had to be there for the choir anniversaries, and I had to be there for the usher anniversary, and the pastor go out and preach, even though he couldn't preach. I had to follow Hannum, so that was kind of the extent of the contract. And also the contract said that if the church was closed due to inclement weather or unforeseen circumstances, I would still be paid. Okay. That was in the contract. So I finally went ahead and signed it, put my name up there. I'm about like Medea. I should have put Donald Duck up there. Y'all ain't gonna hold me to nothing. So anyway, some time went on, and I remember that we went under. We had a winter advisory. And where I'm from in North Carolina, we couldn't handle no snow and ice like that, especially that black ice. That black ice is dangerous. If you think you strong, if you think you got some balance and some traction, you walk out there on some black ice. When I tell you, you're going to be kissing the ground. Huh? So anyway, went through this freeze, and the deacon was supposed to go out there to turn the heat on and turn the faucets on, letting them drip and stuff like that. But what he did was, because he was old, he went out there and he turned the AC on. Mine was twisted. See, you had to tell him stuff to do in the opposite, because mine won't, quite there, because he was old. I mean, why would you tell a 90-year-old man to go out there and turn the heat on? Huh? That's stupid. But anyway, so what ended up happening, the church ended up that some pipes burst in the church and began to flood the church on the inside, especially in the sanctuary or whatever. So we was off for 2 weeks. And I didn't mind. I said, because I still get paid according to the contract. You remember what the lady said in Fighting Temptation about the bylaws? The bylaws said I'm still supposed to get paid. So I was okay. I'm like, this good for me. I can go play somewhere else and still get my $175. You see what I'm saying? That's $350 for 2 weeks. So anyway, what ended up happening was we went back to church 2 weeks later. They paid me my check like they were supposed to. I said, these people, they have a lot of integrity. I said, I love these church people. They have a lot of integrity. So what ended up happening was, what they did was, instead of us having worship in the sanctuary, service in the sanctuary, we started having service in the fellowship hall. See, a lot of churches don't have fellowship halls nowadays. Now they got a multi-purpose sanctuary where they take them chairs up. But see, you couldn't take them pews up back in the church era I grew up. You had to get a crane in there to lift up them pews. And then them pews had, see, I miss the old church, because them pews had metal plates on the side in memory of. That was what you call honor. We don't have that type of honor no more. Folks bought a plate, and that was their pew, their family pew. So anyway, we started having service in the fellowship hall, and we did that for a few months because the church was going back and forth with the insurance company or whatever. So they finally got around to getting ready to make the repairs. So we went back out of church for 2 weeks. So I'm just like, oh, yes, I'm still getting paid. I'm still getting paid. I done already counted that money in, and I done already spent the money, even though I ain't received it. Well, I went back to church that Sunday morning after 2 weeks of being away. And after service, we had a high time in the Lord, glory to God. And I was just full of the Spirit. I just felt empowered. I felt led right back there to the finance room to collect my check. I did. I felt led. I go back there. They had one check for me. I said, there's a discrepancy. There's some piss in this pool. We got to get this thing cleaned out. So I asked the finance lady, I said, it was a finance team, because, they didn't believe in having one person back there dealing with the money. They had a team of people. And so I asked them, I said, well, where my other 2 checks at? I'm supposed to get 3 checks. Where my other 2? One for the fire, one for the fire, one I'm supposed to go. I said, where my 3 checks at? She said, the lady said, head of finance, you're going to have to talk to the pastor. But see, I could tell based off their response that they knew something and they were withholding information. So they said, well, you're going to have to talk to the pastor. I said, well, that ain't no problem. Now, mind you now, I don't like him and he don't like me. So I'm already kind of like How this gonna go? Cause I don't like you, you don't like me, and we talking about money. And that's one thing. That's where I draw the line at. That's where I draw the line at. You gonna pay me my money. So what ended up happening was I went to talk to the pastor. Hey, first getting honor to God for who had my life, and honor to God for the pastor and everything like that. I tried to follow protocol, make sure I was trying to go in respectful because I wanted the best outcome. I said, well, hi, pastor. I said, I went back there to collect my checks, and it was only a check. I said, I went back to collect my checks. I put a emphasis on the S. And he said, well, if you don't come to work, you don't get paid. I said, I took a deep breath. I said, thank you, Jesus. I said, well, with all due respect, pastor. I said, matter of fact, because at this time I had begun to work at the bank. See, God had brought me from McDonald's. I was working up there to the bank. And when you working at the bank back in the day, you was kind of like, people thought you was kind of like real smart and, because you handling all that money and stuff. I told him, I said, well, pastor, I said, well, that may be true if I work in the McDonald's. No shade towards nobody working at McDonald's. I love McDonald's. I still support their ministry. I got steak. I got stock. I got stock in McDonald's and steak in the ground at McDonald's. What I'm trying to say, steak and stock. So I told him, I said, well, if I don't go to work on my job, they have what they call PTO, paid time off. I said, and then two, I had to let them know, then two, my second point. Even if I don't go to work on my job, I'm going to find out that I'm not getting paid before it's time for me to go back there and collect my check on payday. I don't like surprises in the workplace. I do this, you pay me for that. You pay me for that, I do this. I don't like surprises. So he said, well, again, if you don't go to work on your job, you don't get paid. I said, the last time the church shut down due to unforeseen circumstances, I got paid. He said, and you shouldn't have got paid then. I said, now you hold on. I said, cause then I began to get riled up. I said, let me tell you something. I said, when the flood happened, because the flood had just happened in my hometown, I said, this church gave $1,000 to every person that was impacted by the flood. Not only to people who lost stuff in the flood, but also people who had to evacuate and go stay in a hotel. Their meats went to the bad in their deep freezer. And the church gave them $1,000. And I heard that the church was trying to give me $1,000 and you said I want a member. I said, so now you won't right for that. And you ain't right for this, is what I told him. He gonna tell me, well, you seem like you got a chip on your shoulder. I said, well, you seem like you got a chip on your shoulder too. I said, because I come into this church every Sunday. And I do my job. I does my job. I usher in the spirit. When these folks come in here dead, like they ain't got no spirit, like they ain't got no anointing, no sensitivity, I come in here and I sweat. And I sing past me not. Even though I done sung that song 52 Sundays in a row, I sings it. I follow you when you preaching, you ain't saying nothing. So I said all that. I may have took it too far, but that's okay. He said, well, I'm the pastor. I said, and I'm the employee. And you supposed to pay me when I work. What that got to do because you the pastor? What that got to do? I wouldn't even be talking to you if the finance team had cut me a check. So he went on and he kept talking and all that stuff like that. I stood up while he was talking. I said, I'm leaving. I said, and I might be back next Sunday. Y'all, I took it too far. See, that's I have a switch. It's either I go too far or not enough. That day I went too far. I told him I might be back next Sunday. Well, that next week, that next Saturday, I got a phone call. One of the deacons called me. He said, well, I heard they're going to let you go. But see, I was so, messy. I wasn't going to call and say, well, I heard y'all going to let me go, so I'm going to just step down. No, I'm going to fall up in there. So I get there that Sunday morning. This is a week after me and the pastor had the altercation. I get there, and the daggone pastor and the deacons called me into a meeting right before service. You know they were wrong for that, right? They were wrong for that. So they called me back into a meeting. I went back in the meeting. The pastor said, you disrespected me as a pastor. He said, and if I knew then what I know now, I'd have never hired you. I looked up at him and I told him, I said, well, if I knew then what I know now, I'd never come work at this raggedy, dead church. Or I told him. So they walked me out, and this is before service started. The youth were getting ready to sing. We were getting ready to go into service, and I had to pack my stuff up in front of the whole church. And I want y'all to know about the grace of God that I didn't use some choice words, because I started to get that microphone. And I started to say something across that microphone. But I didn't. I packed my stuff up peacefully, and I said, you know what? This church ain't going to be blessed. This church ain't going to be blessed. Until y'all do right by me, everything you touch going to crumble. Well, I hope none of the members see this, because when I tell you the saints started dying when I left, and I didn't do nothing. But all I know is the folks started dying. They weren't dying while I was there. But when I tell you they started dropping like flies, and again, I love the families. I love the people at the church. I didn't like the pastor. My problem is with the pastor. So now if you create a problem between me and you, that's me and you. Huh? But the folks started dying. And you know what? That thing broke my heart. I said, because all I did was come in here and do my job. Y'all owe me $350. And y'all couldn't pay me $350. And to this day, do y'all know I haven't got my $350? The pastor done retired. The pastor retired last year. I still ain't got my $350. Matter of fact, the next time I go to North Carolina, I'm going by that Hearts Chapel. That's the name of the church. Y'all done said it now. Pastor retired. I done said, Hearts Chapel, you owe me $350. And I'm coming to get it. When y'all pass that offering plate around, because they still pass the offering plate around, I'm going to dig in there. I'm going to get $350. I'm going to get close to it. I'm going to come back every Sunday till I get it. And I'm going to get interest, because this was back in 2018 or 2019. So you got to add interest on top of that. So I'm going back to get my money. Matter of fact, the balance is no longer $350, it's $3,500. That's how I got fired from the first church. I haven't been fired from another church. What did I learn from that? I learned that sometimes you just got to go off when you want to. Don't delay it. Sometimes go ahead on and say what you want to say. If you're going to lose it, go out with a bang. See, because I shouldn't have packed up quietly. That's the lesson that I learned from that. I know y'all probably said, well, that ain't not a good lesson. Sometimes tomorrow ain't promised. So go off today. All right? I love y'all. Stay tuned for more. I got some more heat coming for you really soon. We out of here.